Welcome to the Ubuntu show. I have decided to do 4 shows this month on Black history, and I've chosen 4 different people within the Caribbean community in Manchester, and Paul Obinna is my first one. I've known him many years, and he's known in our community for his input towards Black and African history, for educating, and even mentoring, I would say, in sometimes. His current role at the moment is education consultant and a cultural engagement specialist. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
That's correct, yes. So I'm looking forward to this interview. I'll just pre-warn you that Paul has got a very good sense of humour, and I believe as well as educating us today, there'll be the odd joke here and there too.
You mean I'm mad?
Well, you said that, not me. You said that, not me. So tell me, Paul, tell me, before you was born, what was your family makeup? What was you going home to? Assuming you was born in hospital.
I was actually born. I was born in an orphanage hospital called St. Joseph's in Preston. The reason being, this is what I found out much later and had clarified about 4 years ago, 6 years ago. Was that my mother didn't know if I was going to be black or white.
Okay.
And so there's a whole drama behind it. So officially, when I was born, the first word I heard associated with me, I can remember at the age of 3, was this is Paul, our adopted son.
Okay.
I was officially adopted into a white family, and born Preston, raised in Blackburn. I was born in 1959.
Okay.
On the 1st of April, 1950, hence the fool or madness, I think it is.
My grandmother was born on that day too.
She mad?
She was actually quite quiet, actually.
Oh, okay. Introverted and mad then. Right, okay. So I was officially.
So you wasn't born by you wasn't raised by your birth parents.
Aha! And therein lies the rub, because I used to be introduced as Paul, this our adopted son. So I used to think adopted meant brown, and I used to ask my mom, who'd raised me, I'd say, what does adopted mean? And she'd say, I'll tell you when you're old enough. So I actually, from the age of about 4 or 5, thought that there were certain words you had to be a certain age to know. And in the kind of naive, I didn't know about Kabbalah or anything like that back then, of course. So I became a very slow, careful writer, very neat, simply because I thought you had to look after the words. And then when you're old enough, you get that. So I know I was quite a simple little as a child, I think. It's like that, but when
go back to your parents.
No, this is what I'm going to tell you. So,
right, okay.
My officially adopted parents. Then when I was at the age of 11, after school one day, my mom said, "Do you ever wonder about who your real parents are?" And I kind of smelled a rat. And I said, "Well, no, I don't really want to know." But she said, "I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm your real mom." And I went, "Huh?" Because in that split second, it meant that my adopted brothers and sister became my half brothers and sister.
Okay.
And so my imagination was always firing anyway. So it went, wait a minute, and then I said, "So who's my father?" And she said, "Your father was a Nigerian soldier who came to stay with us one time, and on the second, he came to stay with us twice. On the second time, things happened, and so that I was her real mom. So therefore, I was thinking, okay. And then the story she told wasn't positive, you see. And
yeah.
So she. So I'm thinking then I immediately thought every time my dad looks at me, he would see the face of the guy who done with his wife. And so I was like, wow. So got a bit kind of paranoid and and whatever.
But previous to that, Paul, what was your relationship with your parents like before you were told that at 11?
Oh no, brilliant. It is, you know, just as it was. It was. So
what did your parents do for a living?
My mum was a housewife.
Yeah.
But she was.
So your mother was English and your father was English.
Yeah. Both of them. My mum and dad. I call them mum and dad.
Okay.
If I say dad, it's the guy who raised me. If I say father, it's the guy who sired me.
Right. Okay.
So my mum was a housewife.
Yes.
But she was like a secretary, could type, could print all kinds of
stuff. Yeah.
She was all kinds of stuff, which is important later on in the story, because when I get to a point.
Don't jump the gun. Let's go back.
Oh no! I'm saying later.
Okay.
We'll catch up on it, but yeah, my dad was an accountant.
Okay.
He worked for Norweb.
Okay, I remember Norweb.
Yeah. So he had a good job. So
and how many siblings did you have?
Two brothers and a sister, two half brothers and a half sister. But then there were always foster children, and so you could be anything up to 10 of us in the house. So
you had 3 biological ones, but then additional foster ones.
Yeah. Who were passing through generally.
Okay. And did you got on with your siblings?
Yeah. Well, I was the youngest, and so.
Okay, you got looked after.
No, they played tricks on me.
Okay.
Shitbags. I remember being a year old.
Might be where you get that cheekiness from, though, because maybe you kind of taught it from them. Maybe.
It's not maybe. It's not. I remember when we moved into the house because my memory goes back to 6 months old, so I can remember the first house I lived in Infirmary Road in Blackburn, and then I remember I was on my dad's shoulders at the auction for the house on Preston New Road we moved to, and so I was only one year and about 3 months when that took place. So when we moved in, I was very small. And I always remember them because he had the moving sheets, everything was sheeted over in the vans and all this. And so they came in. I remember they came in with the sheets on. There's ghosts frightening me and all this business. So, yeah, they used to do little tricks on me and things like that.
So do you remember what your interests were by the time you started primary school?
Want to be a doctor.
Okay.
So at infant school level, definitely I want to be a doctor, because there were 2 doctors used to be on TV. There was Dr. Kildare from the USA. There was Dr. Finley's Casebook from Scotland, from over here. I always want to be a doctor. And my mom, I always remember there was a new office block, not like a small office block built off Preston New Road at the bottom. And I remember crying on the bus. I was upset because it would be ready before I could qualify.
Okay.
I was about 5. And ironically, my accountants now, it's on that same kind of compound.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really funny.
I like the way that you connect events to different things and memory, and I like the way you do that. So when you wasn't in school wanting to be a doctor, what did you do in your spare time? What hobbies was you interested in?
Only one football, man. What hobby? I was about football. Nothing else. Football.
Could have had some. There's other hobbies and other interests you could have had.
Ballet. Do you think I'm? What was that? What's that? Nah. Football.
So you did football in the evening. You had
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, mate. Give them the chance. It was. So
did you never want to become a footballer?
Yeah. But what happened? It was I just loved playing it. That was it. And we were out in the backs with the local, we call it the
Yeah.
elevators behind the houses. And so there was a garage, the back of one of the houses had a garage. So that was our goal. So we played things like heads up and tackling shots in and things like that. So years and years and years of things like that. And when we were playing Sabutio. Have you heard of Sabutio? Is that little football figures that you flick?
Oh, yeah.
You're a girl, man. You don't know. So
I did tap and bally anyway.
You see what I mean? Tap and bally. No, football.
So you're at primary school. You've got.
You mean in infant school? Is this infant when you say?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. So you're at infant school, and you live with your parents, and you've got a good family relationship. You've got some siblings that obviously taught you how to be a cheeky chappy, and you love football you love football in your spare time.
Yeah.
So, and you want to be a doctor.
Yeah, there was a really. It's really weird because we used to go to Church of the Saviour, it's called, up in Oncon Road in Blackburn. And I can always remember they had this, it's like I'm sitting there now, and then it was like the main body of the church, and there was like the side aisles. And then there's a picture of a guy, he was walking, it was Boys Brigade, it was a Boys Brigade picture, this white dude, and then there's another white dude standing behind him that I think they called Jesus. And he was showing him the way, but he looked blind. And it was like, and I was like, so I was fascinated with that. But then I remember getting older, I saw someone who had Parkinson's disease. And I thought, well, if I massage him, the energy will go down and it'll connect back up again. So I was really, I'd say from about maybe 5-6 years old, I had this kind of thing about communication and
healing.
Whatever. Yeah. It was really kind of weird. So I was mad up into all the, what can I say? I was mad up. We had the choruses in church, like the wise man built his house upon the rock. I used to love slamming her feet when a foolish man's house fell down, dumbass. So there was all these kind of things that I was kind of imbued in very, from young.
Yeah.
And what was it on TV? There was.
Where did you get that influence from? This healing energy from? Are you saying that from church?
It's kind of from church, but it was. I can't really say. It was just something that was there. I think it was from the stories. Blind see, deaf hear, lame walk, and all this business. And then.
Because you lived in quite a white community, didn't you?
No, not quite a white. It was
very white, yeah.
I was the only child of colour.
Same with me where I grew up. So.
Yeah.
What when you went to you had no black influence around you then, did you?
No, not at all. The only thing that you got was on TV was Tarzan, and even the Lord of the Jungle was the white dude in his underwear hanging out with monkeys, and so the Tarzan would be on. Oh yeah, here's those adventures of Tintin. So I remember that Stingray didn't have any black characters. The Aquamphibians were, talk like that. Aquamphibians were kind of dark, but they weren't human. And
so tell me about when you started high school.
Well, you missed junior school out.
Well, junior and infant was all the same.
Oh no, we had definitely separation. No,
I meant I was talking about them in all the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, because there was an important changeover. Because what happened was my mom sent me across town. You see, we live Preston New Road.
Yeah.
And then the junior school, infant school, and junior school were 2 bus rides across town, right across.
Okay.
So it's where they used to live. They sent me back there, and where they used to live, that was like working class racist, really. Whereas the area I was living in was more kind of upper working middle class, and people were more reserved with their turns. Whereas the back in across town, they called a spade a spade. Well, they called a spade a nigger. Actually, it was those kind of days that were 1960s. So I became a kind of a natural leader, because I keep telling people the story that when my first day in school when I was 4, Wednesday, April 3rd, 1963, I went up the slide in front of a Scottish boy who, of course, had been there longer than me. And he said, "I'll stab you with my petty knife, you black bastard." And I was like, so I knew what a knife was, because it wasn't long after the war. There's a load of war stories out there. But then the black bastard, I went home and said, "Mom," I asked her what, my voice was like higher then. And, "Mom." Anyway, I said, "What's a black bastard?" And she said, some people some people are like that. They'll call you that. But she said, "You're not black, you're golden brown, and you're half English and you're half African." So from that point, if you call me African, I was cool. But if you call me black, I'd fight you. And then that particular boy, I got about 6 months later, I beat him up for he did something to another boy. And I always remember my godmother and my mom saying, like, I had a sense of justice with me, but also I meted a beating to this boy. But they were saying it was 6 months. And they said, "Why do you do it?" And I told them like it was yesterday, incident 6 months before. And what they couldn't understand was that as a 4-year-old boy, that 6 months is supposed to be a long time. But I said it just like it was like that. And so, yeah, I used to protect a lot of children. Again, Terence Watson's gang, those little gunmetal handcuffs that were popular at the time, police story thing. And he used to go around whipping people with it. And he was bullying a boy. He had about 12 on there. And I remember putting the boy behind me on the wall and then just wailing in and fighting him. So I always had a kind of edge to me from being young as a fighter. But then when I got 7 years old and I went to the junior school, I got picked on. The 11-year-olds were on me and, nigger hunting me, spitting on me and all this kind of business. So they broke me at 7. I had an emotional breakdown, wouldn't go out, didn't want to go to school.
Wow.
My mom complained to the school, Mr. Armistead. It was announced in assembly. So I remember a boy, David Hodgkinson, was one of the main ones. And I basically got 6 months off. I got 6 months remission. And then I think it was in the second year at junior school, sports day, at the end of the second year. I was always pretty quick. I was a wick, fast runner. And my house was a Blyton house. We had Ransom, Kipling, Stevenson, and Blyton. And we were doing the school sports. And then there's a guy, Simon Watson. He ran slow. He's the tubby you, and he ran slow. So we were an entire section behind when I started running. So I kind of took my time. We weren't going to catch up, and so they blamed me for the loss. And I always remember these guys. They were like 11 years old then. And then they just started on me. And there was a boy called Wayne Waddington who carried on after everybody else. And so I can remember starting crying, and it was like internal thing. And still today, if I go very quiet, I can be dangerous then. So I'm usually all right if I'm shouting. People go, "Oh, you're intimidating." I said, no. When I'm shouting, I'm communicating. I'm all right. I go quiet. That's when I'm going to do something. So I remember diving over 2 rows of chairs. I smacked him. I was on top of him, weighing him in. And then Miss Murphy came to try and I smacked Miss Murphy in her chest and carried on with the thing. And then I had Mr. Duckworth to my left and Mr. Roberts to my right. They picked me off. I stamped his face in as well on the way up.
How old was you now?
8, 9, something like that.
So was you always quite tall as well?
Yeah. I was always sizable, and yeah, I can remember them. They put me in the school. I put in the classroom, and I remember just put at the back of I think it was Miss Sauerbach's room, Miss Blake as she was then, and I just remember standing looking at the thing, just staring blank like this, and then they were saying, you did, and I just said, "You never protected me." That's how I remember thinking. You never protected me. I dealt with it. You understand me? And when people were saying to me, do you know, in my life, I've started a fight on one occasion in my life. One occasion, the entire thing. I've hospitalized guys at certain points, but I've never started anything. I finished it.
Mm.
And I never wanted trouble. I never wanted to fight, never wanted to be a fighter. But it was just like certain horrible kind of people wanting to do, they put things on you or whatever. So that was a important thing. And then another thing was I was so bright academically. There were four of us. We were moved from if you do in junior school, first, second, third, fourth year, I didn't do a third year. So I went from the second year, which was after this incident. They moved me into the fourth year.
Okay.
So there were four of us that were just kind of like sparks and probably context. But apparently I had some kind of, it was like a Mensa test or something when I was at
Talented. Okay.
Yeah. So, and they said I was just like a few marks short of that level of whatever. And so they put me up into the junior school, into the fourth year, into Mrs. Sourbutt, she was called then. And then, I just remember I kind of got cocky because, I was getting, it's like nigga this, nigga that, Sambo, blood of chocolate, all this business. And so I was kind of like, yeah. And then there was Mrs. McPhee. We went to Mrs. McPhee for maths. And I didn't do my homework. And I hadn't done it, tried to style it out. But, she said, right. And so what they did was kind of, we're going to put him in his place. So they moved me back down into the third year. But they moved me back down into the third year bottom set with some of the estate kids who were really slow. But the only thing is that by this age, I was not only just intelligent, I was violent. And so in no time at all, I had these youths, they'd give me the work, I'd do the work and whatever. And then I'd just get them bringing me this, bring me that, get me this guy, king of the castle kind of thing. And then after 4 days, I think it was on the Friday morning, they said, right, you've learned your lesson now. You can go back up to your class. But the only thing was they were kind of ridiculing me in a sense because the other children were laughing at me for being moved down. And then I can look at it now and say, yeah, they were trying their best to, motivate me to do the work and everything. And they said, you can go back up. And I refused. And I refused to move. So this is like 1968, I think it was. And so as Frog marched to the headmaster's office and put on the phone to my mum, my mum saying, move up to the classroom. I said, no. And I'll tell your dad, I'll tell your dad. Yeah, to tell him. I just tell him. I refused, full stop. So she had to come the 2 bus rides across town, drag me physically from that classroom to the other classroom. The teachers could have done it, but it would have made no difference. And so I said, okay, I'll go back up, but I never did maths again. I just switched off maths. I said, F you. I said, I'm not doing that. You want to ridicule me and whatever? I said, no. And part of me stayed with that class as well. I said, you want me to do this? And that was a departure in my academics, total departure.
Okay.
And I always remember that after that. So I always, after that point, underperformed.
So was you challenging at home for your parents and your siblings as well?
Never.
Just at school?
Yeah, well, they were cool.
No, I know. I'm just trying to get the balance. Yeah.
No, they were cool in the yeah, we had arguments as siblings and everything, but I wanted to watch Zipcord, which was this one show, and they wanted to watch Robin Hood with Richard Lockhart. Yeah, we had arguments over things like that, and they played tricks on me and all this, and it's that I was the youngest, so therefore I got the benefit from my parents' experience, I suppose, and all that. But no, they were cool. I stepped out the backs. I remember my when I was 4 years old, they used to call my nickname was Darky, and so the guys who were my friends and all that in the area, they'd be all on that as well. I remember a girl called Bernadette Harrison. I was 4 years old. Bernadette Harrison was, really taking a piss. I said, I'm going to get my brother. So I went for my brother, John, who was 6 years older than me. So he would have been 10. I think Bernadette was about 11. I think she just started secondary school. and she slapped John in the face and busted. He used to get nosebleeds, and his nose bled. And he started crying and ran indoors. And I was like, I got no back at all. And how kind of the evil streak in me. I remember when I was 13 and he was 19, and he started getting high-handed with me at a Christmas party. These Christmas parties we used to have, and I was butted him straight in his nose, man. Knowing what it'd do, that it hurt him and everything. So I kind of developed a very, very, very evil streak in me for fighting on that kind of thing. If people mess with me, and that's why eventually I was shoved in martial arts.
So let me just go back a little bit. So at the age of 11, your mum lets you know that you're not adopted and that she's your real mum.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going into...
I'm a byproduct of rape.
I didn't get that. I didn't hear that bit. Okay.
No. Well, I said the circumstance. She said that.
Right, okay.
So that meant I was like bad blood.
Okay.
Bad blood, and so all the shit that had happened to me, that's why, is because I was bad blood. That's my mind. It's not what they were saying to me. No one in my family has ever treated me where I could think it's because of that.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And even there was an incident when I was 13. Yeah, there was an incident when I was 13 in school. And my sister taught me in school. And there's a girl called Alison. And she was, we're 13 years old. And, this kind of like, blah, blah, blah. This stuff and whatever. And she was my friend. There was no thing. But I pushed her into a cloakroom one wet break time. And all the guys jumped her. And I couldn't even get to her. I had to run around and then pull her up. And it was really, really bad. And then when I pulled her up, I'm going, Alison, you're right. And she started crying. I was, oh, God, I'm sorry, and all this. So I told a friend to take her to the library. And, oh, gosh, on the planet Earth, the one place I shouldn't have said her to go was the library, because Mr. Kirby, Mr. Bolton, and Mr. Nutter were all walking out and saw her and asked her what had happened. And so the friend and her, they said, "Make up something, come to Mr. Bolton." And we got used to get pumped. And I always remember the other guys. There was 4 of us, and I always remember the other guys jumped up on the second blow. I stayed and took mine because I knew that if I hadn't done that and pushed her, it wouldn't have happened. So me, I was always straight, and I'll never deny, a thing. I'd just say, yeah, I did it. It's a fair cut. I'd done it. And then her mum just said it was horseplay. She just said it was horseplay, got out of hand, on whatever. And because the mum had the local sweet shop. And I used to talk to her. We'd be talking and all this business and whatever. She knew I was cool and whatever. So this thing happened. And, I was like, oh, it's really bad. So then my sister called home from the school and told my mum what had gone on. But then when I got home, my mum told me that my sister had told her that I'd raped a girl in school. And I was like, what? And I said, there's nothing like... So I thought my sister, right? I thought my sister had sort of gone like father, like son. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I thought she said like father, like son. I didn't talk to my sister properly for about 43 years. And that was from that incident. And then when my mom got dementia and Alzheimer's, me and my sister started talking again. I was down in Brazil and we started talking. And me being me now, I just sort of said to her one day, I said, well, I never talked to you properly, but, since you called mum about the incident in school with Alison. She went, what do you mean I called mum? And I said, well, you told mum that I raped a girl in school. I did not. I said, you serious? And she said, I didn't say that. I said there'd been an incident in school. I told her that, yeah, you know, that Alison had been jumped on. I said, really? And she said, yeah. And so I kind of went, I said, damn. And I said, I thought you were, you know, being like father, like son. She said, Paul, I didn't even know you were my half brother until I got married when I was 27.
Wow.
And so my mom, and then I found out from my brothers and sisters, because I wrote to them, I wrote this, it's like a 40-page booklet on my life, you know, like a biographical thing. And she said, yeah, so it would have been 4 years after that, when I was 17, 18, that's when she found out, my mom told her. And my mom had told my two brothers at different times as well and whatever. So she had all this.
Okay. Wow.
There's a real so when I started doing studies, I did it in race to understand what the pressures on my mother being a white woman with a black guy was back in those times. That's when I started studying. But what I found out is that it wasn't a rape, it was an affair.
Okay.
It was like a covering, so I'm a love child. But for 14 years, I didn't find out that till I was 24. So for 14 years, I'd believed a story about me being a bad blood pickney. So anything happened to me after that, it was because I was a child of rape.
I understand now. I understand. So how did you find that out?
My dad, I wrote, when I went away to college, because my secondary school life was quite sedentary, really. I just kept to myself. I was never the top fighter because that drew heat. I was always the second fighter, second best fighter. I just keep myself in. I didn't go to the top class. I was always second. And just got on. I was a cathedral choir boy as well. So from the age of 8 to 13 years old, so I did 5 years in the cathedral choir in Blackburn, which was like a 4-day-a-week thing. We only had Monday off and one other weekday, but all the other time was choir practice and whatever. So that, football, there's certain things went on my knees and all that. Certain problems related, probably now I'll say psychosomatic. But I got through, left school 16, became an engineer, doing metallurgy, and then I lost that job through union activity. I did 6 months as an assistant technical manager in a plastic injection molding company. And then what happened is I lost that job because I was going to kill the director's son for being a little. And then, or you can edit that out, can't you? And then what happened is, I was going to turn professional at boxing. So this is when I was 20 years old, 21. But because I'd instructed martial arts from the age of 15, my then girlfriend, Dominican sister, she persuaded me along with my mom to go into school teaching. And so I did. It took 6 years to get qualified. But it's while I went to college, I used to be hyper fit. I'm not talking fit, hyper fit, because I recently walked where I used to run, and I was like, damn. I was like, damn. And when I did decathlon at college, doing athletics training, and national coaches used to call me Mr. Fit. And so they knew I'd go through anything. I was very strong, very fit, powerful, pretty quick. And then, but I got.
Can you remember any music from that time?
Oh yeah. Enough tracks. I mean,
just give us one tune.
From that point, I'd say.
Got your girlfriend Dominique from Dominica as well. Was she called Dominica, or was she from Dominica?
From Dominica. I'd say possibly Sideshow, Barry Biggs, or Wide Awake in a Dream. That's what reminds me. It fixes me there.
Okay.
And then I've got the for instance, the first black girlfriend I had was a girl called Michelle, and Michelle.
The Dominican one or after?
Before.
Right.
That would be Velvet Goldmine by David Bowie.
Right. Okay. Don't tell me no more.
You see, what happens is there's all different forms of music I used to listen to and whatever.
Okay.
And my sister, in actual fact, was in Tamla Motown. She was into Tamla, so the things like Abraham Martin and John from when I was in the early 70s. Came through with songs like that and just walk away.
Had different influences in your life when it comes to music, yeah. So you talk about you've had a couple of girlfriends and you've done your engineering bits. Are you still at home?
Yeah. At
home with mum?
Mum and dad.
Yeah.
What happened was I was at home, but then I went away to college, 1982. I went to Crewe Osage College in Cheshire. And when I went down there, it was just like, how can I put it? It was like freedom. And by the time I was 23, I was with another girl. I was engaged to a girl who was from St. Vincent, Beckway. And I got to college. I was a pig in a sweet shop. I was a rascal. But then, so I was always I got to the thing. I'd be training like 3-4 times a day and things like that. And I was like, hyper fit, doing all this, load of girls there, drinking, blah, 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 whatever. And then, non-academic. So, sorry, I could crack my essays off and get a pass, without any. I just write top of that. I had that kind of gift, and this thing was
work hard, but you could play hard as well.
No, I didn't work hard at all. In 4 years, I've actually said that if I put in a solid 3 months over 4 years, I'd be surprised. Training in art business, but didn't things. I always remember feeling guilty sometimes looking at guys who were in the library at night studying. And then what happened was there was a what can I say? I got ill. I got ill when I was at college. I don't know what it was. It was like glandular fever symptoms and whatever, ulcers in my mouth and all of this. And I called my mom. She was checking stuff up and trying to figure out. And I ended up 2 weeks in on Complan in my room. And then I realized I didn't know who I was. And then I remember I was doing this artwork one evening, and then I felt the cold of the scalpel knife on my wrist. And I was like, huh? And I was there crying, bawling and whatever. And I remember going down to my friend's, a guy called John. I went to his room and, started talking to him. And then I got into some crazy ass behavior from that, because I was really on the edge, suicidal and all of this. But then eventually I wrote a letter to my dad. And then this is when he told me about the circumstances.
Was you then?
24.
Right. And so you're 24, you're away at college.
Uh-huh.
You've had some breakdown.
Kind of, yeah. Ill. I was more ill than, I'd say, mentally broken down, but I'd say, things came on top, as in all the stuff from my personal history, yeah. And
so you decided to write to your dad. How did you get in touch with him?
I wrote him a letter. Tear-soaked. He was at home. He was at home with my mum.
Oh, you mean
my dad?
Sorry, yes, sorry. Apologies.
No, my dad. My father I've never seen. I've never seen him.
In your whole life?
In my whole life. And I always thought, because I was a big youth, broad and all this, I thought that I got that size from my father, because my mum was like 5'2". 5 feet tall. And then, she shrank. Yeah. So what happened was I contacted my dad, and then he told me that my natural father was 5'6" and slim. And so my size is from my mum's father.
Right.
So it's come down through that. That's who I was named for. So
okay.
And then so I said to him, I said to my dad, I said, I want to find my natural father. I want to find him. And he gave me his blessing. He said he'd been waiting for me to ask all through through after my mum told me, but he didn't know what my mama told me, because it's really weird. It's like in this house, did it talk? This is what
I've noticed that already. Yeah.
They didn't talk. They didn't communicate on things. So there's one thing here, one thing there, whatever. So I started the search, Nigerian embassy, last Wednesday in March 1984, and then I've been having weird things because I got certain psychic abilities. Like I'm highly intuitive. I used to be. I shut it down. And what happened was I was having premonitions about my dad dying for 2 weeks before. Broke down at my brother's house 2 weeks before, and then my dad took me to the train station. I came back one week. I kept coming back every opportunity, and he put me on the train in Blackburn, and I started crying. I wouldn't let go of him, and so he had to literally put me on. And then it's a week later, Sunday, April 1st. So it was my birthday, also Mother's Day. And 24 hours, it was like 24 years after he first met me, he died of a heart attack on the way to church.
Your dad?
Yeah. My dad died at the wheel of his car.
Oh.
And I kind of just went, I cried Obia. I knew about Obia, voodoo, things like that. I thought it must be some kind of like testing and stuff. And then, it was after that, I faced a kind of crossroads decision, because and then what I did, I was going to leave. I said either I was going to kind of stay and kind of mull over whatever, but then I said no, I'm going to leave and go to Nigeria and find my father and do all whatever.
Yeah.
But then what happened was I promised because I was doing physical education and arts as two of my thing, and education, and I promised this lecturer to do a residential school in what's it called, Congleton in Cheshire, and they did a residential every year, so they wanted a PR specialist, and I was the one that year. And I literally said I'm going to go. And I remember on that same day my dad died, Marvin Gaye died. And I remember walking from my mum called me up. I just remember I was zoned out at the time, and I was having some really deep. I remember there was this girl, she was a dancer. The night before it happened, I went to her room. She thought I was looking to do a thing and everything. And I started telling her about her boyfriend, and told her what car he drove, what color it was, where they went to together, and blah, 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 and all this. And she was like, she freaked out. She really, really freaked out. And I remember saying to her, "You think he's gay, don't you?" I said, "Well, he is." And she's like, what, and that's how opened up I was. I could just see the pictures and everything. And then, so the next day when my dad died, I was traveling back from a church in Staffordshire with this Chinese girl who I was friendly with. And then, I zoned out totally. And then, my mom called me up, and I just knew, I asked if she was all right. Yeah, I went and smashed my room up. I was like, just gone. And my brother came down, picked me up, took me back home and all this. Then I came back a few days later, putting my papers in. I can always remember I had to get one signature, and the only, someone was playing Marvin Gaye out the window. And I was walking back across the lawn to get this last signature. And this lecturer came and said, "Paul, I hear you're leaving." And I said, "Yeah." And he said to me, "But what you promised you'd do that resident?" And I went, "Oh, shit." And I kind of said, "Yeah, but I got to go to Nigeria. I'm leaving. I'm coming out of college." And he said, "But who else is going to do it?" And I went, and because he said promised, and then I followed through with it. And I had an absolutely amazing time on that. There's a track at that time called by Herbie Hancock called "Give It All Your Heart," and that became my theme for teaching. Was if you're going to teach, because I love Malcolm X, and I said that, and I used to say, if you're going to teach by any means necessary, you must give it all your heart.
Yeah.
And so that became my theme track in the build-up after my dad's death.
Okay.
And so I had to sort of dedicate myself to that. And then from that, I started. I remember.
What was you training to do at college? You never said.
School teaching, to be a teacher.
Ah, yes, I remember now. Yes, yeah.
I'm a career teacher, so I remember I had deferred first attempts, so I didn't have to take my exams when everybody did in July. So they let me take them in September. And I always remember I came back, and who was in the exam hall taking resits were these guys who I saw in the library. And I felt so bad, man, because me, like I said, I just got, you give me some 1, 2, 3, 4 times, listen, now just write a thing, pass it. You get what I'm saying? And then these guys are having to graph like crazy. So there was a kind of thing, like I switched my mentality from that point and became more serious. And then what I did, I went to some meetings which were on race, about race.
Where were they being held?
They were at the college.
Right.
And a Rasta brother came in from Stoke-on-Trent. They used to call him Brother Stagger. And he started saying, well, really, white people should be proud, pleased that black people are here because black people helped build the economy and, through slavery and blah, 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 blah. And then I just watched the response from these, like they would, but and at that time, I don't know, I'd just been picking up stuff, not studying, just picking up stuff all through the years, regarding race and whatever. And, so I knew about Nation of Islam. I knew about, Dr. King, Malcolm X, and I just picked all these kind of things up, but never ever applied them. But then when I saw the way these people were acting towards Brother Stagger, I just rolled and then started spitting. And people were like, huh? Paul? We didn't know that you knew this stuff. I said, well, why would you? I never mentioned it before. And then the school where I did that teaching practice in Congleton, I remember there was a lady called Pat Smith who was in charge of me. And one day they were in the library, and her and a friend, and they said they were talking about some issues about race, and I said no, don't go like that, and I broke it down for them, and she just said over son, she just said she goes, my year 10 social studies group could do with hearing this. Will you do a thing? I went, oh no, I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it publicly. I just I kind of know it. I don't talk about it. And she just turned on me. She just said, don't go getting smart in a library with two middle-aged, middle-class white women when there's young people need that kind of information. Get it written. And I kind of went, ooh. So
you match.
Yeah, she just threw the gauntlet down.
How old are you then?
25. I was 25.
Wow. So have you got a girlfriend in your life then?
No. I was a United Nations practitioner at that time at college.
Can you imagine? I bet you was.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. No, I'd love to be. Well, I've met myself. I met it in my son. It's his birthday tomorrow. He's 12.
Wow.
I had to talk to him about certain dynamics. But Matt, you see, me coming from my background, I was ugly and unusual. So the funny thing is, I was saying some people in a session last night that people tell me, what was it? I was told 2 years ago by a 27-year-old guy, black guy, who said I was too light-skinned to face racism. And I said, mate, I wish you could come time travel back to Blackburn in the 1960s. I said, you could have come back and told them guys that I was too light skinned to hit and insult and everything else. You could have come back and did so. And the battling that I did, that half of these youths today, they fight each other.
Yeah.
They don't have to get into a confrontation out there unless you're in specific areas. Then you've got all race relations, like you got all of these dynamic blood.
Yeah.
So when I looked on this, I told this guy, I basically just said to him, I said, yeah, you should. All of that, you know something? I could have not gone and started working in the prisons with the gangs in Manchester in the 1980s and 90s. When the Bonehead, one of the BNP guys who was down in Full Sutton on a life, was threatening my life and everything if I came in, I wouldn't have had to get up and prayed in the morning and done my rituals to go in there and still contact our guys, sorry. So all of that kind of stuff that was going on, and I wasn't being paid for it. I wasn't being paid. Sorry, I got petrol expenses. In fact, all my free lessons from school were put on one day so I could travel down.
Yeah. So
all that kind of stuff. I say, I'm supposed to be apologizing for the lightness of my skin in the year 2018. I'm going like, y'all is off key. And I wish, I'm not saying I wish it on them, but I'm saying I wish they could experience what I went through.
Yeah.
Because my lips were too big, my skin was too dark, my nose was too broad, my hair was too woolly. I was ugly. I was this. I was that. I was little black Sambo. I was a gollywog. I was a spade, a coon. All the words.
So do you think that I just want to change the summit here. So are you saying that you're ugly because you were told you're ugly, or is it because you believe you're ugly?
No, I was told I was ugly. I was told I was ugly from my first day in school. So all the way through. I gave a beating to at the age of 7. I gave him this beat. He started calling me something up the backs. I beat this boy up, went home. My mum said, you've been fighting, innit? I said, yeah. She said, who we been fighting? I said, she said, why? I said, he was calling me a half caste. She said, well, that's right. I said, but I thought I was a nigger. So racial, I didn't know anything else but what I was being cussed with and put down and whatever.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up. So it was imbued in my head. And it was really, really funny because before I went to Brazil with my boy, he was 4 years old. He would turn 5. And so at the same age I started school. And I took him to my school, took him to my infant school, the school gates. And I remember just looking at it. It's exactly the same building. The only thing is now that the playground area is smooth. It used to be ribbed concrete that used to rip your knees up if you fell on it. So I was looking there, and he said, "What's the matter, Daddy?" I said, "Oh, no, it's all right." He said, "You look sad." I said, "No, I'm not sad. I'm just remembering something." Remembering what? I said, "You don't need to know, son."
Yeah.
I didn't want my reality to be his. And then when he started school in Brazil, there's a little white kid calling him a black Spider-Man and started hitting him on his first day. And I kind of just like laughed. And so he told me his mom went mad, righteously. And I just said, leave him. He's got to figure his way. So the next day he went in, he said, you tell the teacher. And so he went in again. This boy did the same thing. And so he came home. So what did the teacher say? She didn't do anything. I said, well, you got our permission to take him out because my boy can fight. I said, take him out. And he said, but the teacher said we haven't to fight. I said, well, we'll back you up. If you take him out, we'll back you up. And he went in the next day. Then he came home and he said, what did he do? He said, he started hitting me again. And I said, what did you do? He said, I started blocking him. And he said, because he can't hit as hard as you can, Dad. And so I says, okay. And I said, so what did he do? He said he started crying and started saying, why won't you let me hit you? And I said, well, what did you learn from that? He said, it's strange. He said, at the end of the day, his mom comes in and gives him a dummy.
Okay.
And I said, he's like a strange boy. So I said, so did he carry on out? He said, no, he stopped. So he had to figure his own way out, you see.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it, but we had to give him the backup. So is me using my history to apply it, but it make sure it's not his history, not because it's happening there. I said, let him solve the problem himself, because that's what he's going to have to do.
So let's go back a bit. Let's go to your 30s. Where are you in your 30s? What job have you got? Have you got a partner? Where are you living?
28 years old. I came to Manchester, 1980. So no, 27 years old. I came to Manchester.
What made you come to Manchester?
I requested a place that I wanted to work in a school with black children from Crewe-Sager. I requested Shawfields from Crewe-Sager College in Cheshire.
Okay.
And I requested Shawfields Toxteth or Juicy Central in Moss Side. And one of the lecturers called Roy Pitcher, he said he would travel to Manchester, but not to Liverpool. And so he ended up getting a teaching practice in Moss Side and Juicy, Victoria Park and Moss Side. So I was like, I always remember my first day, I came out of this like gray tweed kind of sweater and gray tweed trousers, a blue shirt and blue bow tie, you know, Mr. Trendy and whatever. And Kester Martinez, mixed race boy what's the family called? The Bullers, one of the Bullers.
Oh, yeah, I know the Bullers, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a nephew. He was, I love that boy. I just remember, and he looked at me and he literally said, who do you think you are? And I didn't even blink. I said, I'm P, that's who I am. I said, who are you? And he goes, I'm the boss around here. And I said, wrong, I'm the new sheriff. And that was straight away. And I was like a duck to water. I was an awful guy. And, you know, I confrontations, everything. I didn't care.
I know.
And I was like off. And the only thing was, I picked up very quickly. For instance, the teachers, what they practiced was non-challenge.
Right.
They were letting the youths destroy themselves. Mm-hmm. And I remember there were a group of guys. There's a lady called Wendy Richardson, who was an art teacher. And so I was in her art department. I was working with her. And I always remember getting into my first reasoning and argument about the guys are calling each other nigger and all this business. But there's a white guy in there. And I said, what's with the nigger business? Oh, we're niggers, in it. I said, are you? And they go, yeah. I said, well, I'm not. I hear you talking that again with me. I said, me and you go have rock. And I said, anyway, why can this white guy, how come you can call, what if he calls you a nigger? He can't do that. Why? Because we'll beat him up. I said, yeah, well, you're all stupid. And I remember bringing him an article in, I think it was Richard Pryor, why I won't use the word nigger again and whatever. So I got into them. One of the guys was Chris Prince, Martel Prince's brother. Good brother. And but then what I watched was a guy in the school. This is the kind of stuff going on behind the scenes, you see. So that I couldn't tell the children about or the parents. But what happened was there's a guy called, I can call his name, I won't bother. But what happened was Lance, who I started working with, Lance Lewis, he was a boxer, but higher caliber boxer, martial artist than me. And he ended up exactly the same time in same circumstance. He put a request in to work in the school and he got it through as well. So he ended up, I was there 2 weeks ahead of him, I think it was. So Derek Blackwell told me, this guy, Lance Lewis, is coming. He's a martial arts. I said, I know Lance. I know of Lance. I met Lance like when I was 16, 17. He was 15. And it turns out I was the reason he got kicked out of amateur boxing. Because, but it's another story. But what happened was, we ended up, he'd gone training. He was training a student teacher doing some gym work. So in Juicy Upper School, there was like a dance floor area in the staff room. And So I got Lance's skipping rope, start turning the rope. And this teacher comes up, whoa. Yeah, this ain't a gym, And so I start laughing. I go, okay. And then he says, anyway, how come you boys are so good at sport? And I turn to Lance and it was like, when you don't have to talk and you just look at each other. I said, did this just say boys to me like that? And he's gone like, yeah, he said it. And I said, well, really, sir, that's a stereotype. You have to mind that I don't have another stereotype for black guys, like a big girlfriend and your wife's not around. And he went, oh, whoa, like this. But you see, we were fighters. We weren't turning around and whatever. You put us into a scenario, that's where we were. You're not going to come and disrespect me like that. Go call me a boy and think that you're all right. Same guy, about a year later, he said, because he was hanging out with certain black guys, certain Negroes, he came up to me, oh, Paul, you won't mind if I called you a nigger, would you? And I said, as long as you don't mind hospital food for about 6 months, I said, that's all right. Oh, why are you being so aggressive? I said, I'm not. You're being insulting. I said, I don't care what Negroes you're hanging around with. If they want to tolerate you saying that, why do you want to call me that anyway? And so I never, ever. Do you know something? I never had a social conversation in Juicy High School, Juicy Central, for 7 years.
Is that how long you worked there?
I worked there 13.
Oh, I didn't know you were there that long, Paul.
Yeah. 13. I left in 1999. And for 7 years, I never socialized with them. Not at all. And I worked professionally. They could never say that I'd take anybody's side or whatever. I stuck to right down to my guns and everything. But then what happened was I saw the game. I saw this same guy said the thing to me. This is when I was on teaching practice. Walk into the room, confront a boy when his friends were there. So the boy get up and he's like, then he'd tell him to where to go. He'd tell the teacher where to go. Don't talk to me like that. So it's like conflict. What did he do then? Did he go to the head and complain? No, staff room and start talking about him to the same boy, to the members of staff. So the members of staff will get, I'm not putting up with that. Yeah, you said that to me. All right, I'm not. So then it means that every single room that boy's walking into with these other members of staff, he's getting confronted and they're all on him. Then what he would do, he'd come in again about a week later, another confrontation. Boy says this, go up to the staff room and they put up with that, go down to the head. Then the boys gets banjaxed out of the school. So when I was looking at that method, I said, okay. So my strategy was on. My stratagem. What was it? Stratagem. The art of what was it? Any artifice or trick designed to outwit or surprise the enemy. And I knew exactly who my enemy was. And it was the boys' behavior that made them drop a guard. And it was these members of staff who were just taking guys out left, right, and center. So my job in Juicy was to make sure that we were getting our youths through. That was all.
So you did 13 years at Juicy Central.
Yeah.
And you was living in Manchester. Where in Manchester was you living?
Old Trafford, OT.
Okay. I used to live in OT as well. Right. Did you often go back to and see your family, your parents and your siblings?
At one point, when I first went back there, we started getting very close again. Started buying the children, my nephews and nieces, presents at Christmas and all of this. But then what happened was I just went into when I really, I think, how long was I teaching? I think it was about 18 months. I had, I just had a kind of, it wasn't a breakdown. I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
I took on this role. There was no one else doing it.
Yeah.
So you had people like Roy Blackman, Vince Wilkinson. There were very, 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 very few black teachers in Manchester then.
Yeah, I remember them times.
And what happened was some of my, I always remember I had very little money. There's one time I had little money and one of my spots from Birmingham came up. And I just got my card taken from me at the bank, and the bank manager in front of my girlfriend cut the card up, kind of like, doing a real high-handed, and, I've gone overdrawn. But when I look at the amounts of money now, I'm just like laughing, but it was a real thing then. And so my friend offered me a job, a pickup job, which would have netted me about maybe 4K or something like that over 12. 3 of us go take the stuff from the guy. And so it was like I was being pulled back into certain things. And I had to really, really make a choice. It was a real crossroads decision. Do I jump back on the money thing and, go back with some of my naughty things? Or do I take very, very seriously the role I got?
Yeah.
I chose the latter. And then really, really dug in then.
Yeah.
And there was...
So how old are you now?
30. I'd say 29 at that point.
Right.
And then it was from that point, I'd started doing more kind of activism. I was looking at race. I was very, very sharp on the race awareness issues. But then I came across the work of Asa Hilliard, a video called Free Your Mind, and another one called Master Keys, and that we got into the ancient history then. And because we got into the ancient history, there were songs out like what's it called? Caravan of Love, Isley, Jasper Isley, and talking about Africa being the place where mankind is born and all this. And so I got into seriously got into the studies. And I think I could say that we had a higher learning curve than the children in school.
Yeah.
Devouring information and reasoning. It was just full on all the time. And trying to then tell the community about, trying to wake up things. And I think I was working with Barry Edwards down at
Amore Road.
Amore Road, yeah. And we had what can I say? Barry, God bless him, there's a few good few guys in Manchester didn't like the breed. They didn't like mixed race.
I know.
So so some community.
That must have been another battle for you, really.
No, it's no battle. I just take people out. I don't care. Yeah, I really, really, really didn't care. I've got to say to you, I didn't care. It was because of my background. I was never disrespectful to anybody. So 1989, the Asian community did a bogus assault charge. A boy said that I assaulted him. It was nonsense. It was because Devon Brown and myself had gone to a conference at Peacock, and we started going for the Section 11 money. We were saying that the old Section 11 for New Commonwealth children, it said that our needs are not linguistic like the Asian community, and they were collaring all the money. I said ours are psychological. And I coined the phrase, I said, we're not English speakers, we're speakers of English. And I said that we need to know ourselves, our psychology better, our history better, a better sense of self. And it was within weeks, after that thing, I got this thing, I'd assaulted this Asian boy. And then Dawn Peters, the head, she came to me on Monday morning, she said, oh, you assaulted so-and-so. I said, I ain't assaulted anybody. And I said, one thing, Dawn, if I've done it, I'll tell you I've done it. Because there's nothing I'll do, nothing that I do that I'll turn around and say. I was raised in Zen, and I don't know if you know what Zen. You have seated meditation. You say, but then you got Zen, which is consciousness, walking around, questioning everything that you're doing, thinking, seeing, and whatever. Mm-hmm. So I was raised with that from the age of 15. And so if I make a move, I know there's consequences. And there's not once I turn around and say, no, I never did. I go, yeah, I did that. I did it. I like Bernie Mac. Yeah, I did it. So what happened was, when people want to go, oh, you did this, you did, I'll go like, yeah, what about it? And so then it was like, oh, we're going to do this then. We'll do that. So I said, well, I'm here. You understand me? I'm here. Do what you have to do. Express yourself. So what happened was, I was in... I was told I mustn't talk to this. And I said, well, where does that go off? I said, because a boy can make another bogus thing. I said, what are you going to do? promise you, me won't talk to him. I said, I've told you I don't talk to him. I told you I haven't done anything. I said, and so she suspended me on full pay.
Is this that Juicy?
At Juicy.
Right, okay.
And then the next day, Dave Knight, a friend of mine from Preston, said, would I come down and do a session at Garth Prison? On history and whatever, because the guys had gone on to their summer recess from the education courses. And they said, so he said, will I come down to a history session? It'll be on a Thursday. So I said, yeah, I'll come. And he said, well, make it next Thursday to give you notice. And I said, David, I've been suspended on full pay. I said, I can come down today. So I went down to do a session. It was so funny because the guy, I walked in because you got the dual pathway, you got visitors and then staff. It was really funny because as I'm standing with this box of books I brought, I hear, P! I'm going like, yo, Sean. So Sean Deccan from Top Stuff was there. So we're shouting to each other. The officers are looking like, what's going on? And I went in and the first they were trying to psych me out and everything, what violent, what they done. There's a white kid who went in. He was like going on about how he'd shanked some guard officer or something, whatever. But I'm just sitting there saying I didn't get caught for my shit. And so that's why I was going in there, without any even hesitation. I started going. And then there was a guy there. He starts talking like this, so what are you doing? I said, are you from Liverpool? He goes, yeah. Are you from the 8? Yeah. I said, do you know Jennifer Robinson? She goes, Jenny, I used to teach her weights. And I said, do you know, and then he said, do you know Sean Declan? I said, Sean is downstairs on a visit. And he just turned to the class like that and just went like this, is 20 guys or so. That we can check this guy out now. And so I ended up staying there 4 years part-time.
Okay. And you never went back to Juicy?
No, I was in Juicy working. And
you did that as well?
Yeah. It was so it was like all the time I was always doing something.
Okay.
And because I didn't, in fact, Devon Brown's job was due to me. I didn't used to get home till 9:30 at night. I'll be doing home visits.
Okay.
I was always round in the community. I going to see the children. One of my boys was missing. I think after I was there, I think it was maybe the first year, there was a little girl in a school in Longsight was killed by her mother, and the mother had her in the cupboard. And the only reason it got flagged up was due to the register. And if they acted the first day, she might have been alive.
Okay.
So it was one of the things that it severely affected me. I was like, damn, little mixed race girl it was. And the mother was vexed at the father, so took it out on the girl.
Yeah.
And so if anybody made noise in my registration or whatever, and as soon as I finished the register, anybody missing, I'd go, this is before mobile phone, you see. So I'd either be ringing up saying, where are they? And telling people that you should report, you should be ringing in to say there's an absence. And then if they didn't do that, I was out at either break time or lunchtime to the house.
Mm.
And if not, then after school. So I knew where all my youths were, and never ever put that. And they'll tell you I was ruthless. I was a ruthless guy. I didn't care. Urban deprivation or poverty. I didn't give a toss. I said, your ability can be, we'll work on that, but your attitude better be fixed.
So you're working at Juicy High School. You're very much involved with the gang crime with young black men. And you're also working at the prison as well.
Yeah. Wherever thing, we started running martial arts school at Carmel Road, football teams in Juicy. It's just full on all the time. And then the football teams is interesting because the money for we got new kit, which we got from the Prince's Trust, the police, and the Mandem. And they put in on the QT. Police knew we were getting money from Mandem. Mandem knew it was from the police because this is for our youths. And then our guys from the community coming in running the teams because the teachers didn't want to do it weekends and whatever. So there was only one night a week at one point. We didn't see the guys. It was Sunday was martial arts. Monday was football. Tuesday, martial arts. Wednesday, football. Thursday was art. Friday we had off, and then Saturday was football. So we're working with the youths full on. We had Mojo martial arts as well running. That was around 1990. And then, so 89, I was also in the prison working as well. So I was just like full on all the time. And
but I heard you mention a girlfriend at one point.
Yeah.
Was when you was living in Old Trafford?
That's right.
So your life is really full then, and you must be in your 30s.
No, I turned. I was 30. 89, I was 30, and then Ikemba came through. My daughter was born 1990.
Is this to this girlfriend that you mentioned earlier on?
Yeah. Jennifer.
Okay.
Jennifer was a youth worker, then social worker. She's a senior social worker now.
Okay.
So yeah, we just all the time we would. That's all we knew. So I was like a workaholic.
It sounds like it.
And that's So that paid to my own kind of training and whatever, because I was focusing on that. The 1991, there was an education of the Black Child Conference held in.
Remember that?
Well, the one, it was in 1990. Barry Edwards took me down to Leicester. Then there's a one in 1991 at Carmel Road, and I did the artwork. I used to do all the artwork for Culture Week because I'm an artist as well. So all the Culture Week posters that used to go out, I did those. And then the 1991 thing, I'd done this timeline, and I said to Barry, I wanted to do a talk about the timeline at the conference, and there's no time, no time, this blah blah blah. And so what I did, I went and lobbied some of the elders, and I minutes when he says, ask him, give me more time. And so that's what we did. And so he tried to shut me up after 10 minutes, and then these people, give him more time, let him talk, whatever. And so from 91, one of the outcomes from the conference is that they wanted Lance and myself to start doing adult classes. But then what happened was the conference didn't move anything. But then we'd gone on to Lance had a friend, John Leaky Fresh. So we used to go on Thursday nights. So we used to go on the late night hype. So we'd be on the radio from about 11, I think maybe 11 o'clock until about 3, 4 in the morning. So we used to do, we'd be talking consciousness things, and we'd be playing music with a certain thread and whatever. So we did that for, I think it was about 3 years. And then from that, some of the guys from the community heard us on there. And this is when it was hot. Moss Side was hot at the time. And we got this in. We would come to a meeting on the Alec Park estate. And we were like, yeah, what's this about now? Because we knew there were people who didn't like what we were saying.
So who invited you there?
Pascal, Martel Prince.
Okay.
There was nine of them. It's Pascal's partner, her name is just John. Chris Bruno. Oh gosh, what was he? I'm looking now. I'm trying to see. It's the elder brother of one of the guys I used to teach in school as well. So there was 9 of them. Chris Prince, Martel Prince, and then we went for a meeting there with them. And then I just said, well, look, come to the school and use the classroom in Lloyd Street. And then within 3 months, we had about 80, 90 people attending.
Wow. And
we had to I remember it was going towards the summer. And then we kind of made it more, we just do like winging it, one thing. And then we started, we taught the classes after that for about 7 years. 8 years. And then I did the education of the Black Child in Leicester. Mm-hmm. Drake Coker gave up his spot for me and Lance. Not that Lance could get a word in, but gave him his spot. At that, there's a lady called Rosemary Campbell. She's Rosemary Campbell Stevens now. She's a really brilliant educator. And I always remember she gave us, she paid us up front to do a session 6 months later or something. And so we did this residential for her with this team who worked from London Borough of Waltham Forest, which really went well. And then we went down to Leicester again because Manchester didn't reply. It's supposed to be between Leicester and Manchester. So we went down to Leicester. And I always remember we got down there maybe about 7 a.m. for this conference. And we walked in, there was no one there. So we changed the chairs around and everything as we want. Then we went in the back and the caretaker was there with one sister doing cooking in the kitchen. And then the guys turned up. The sisters all arrived, and then the guys turned up red eye, smoking and all this. And then they didn't have the conference packs done. They didn't have a stapler to put the thing. So Lance started doing that. He was good at that stuff. I drove the sister home to pick up a stapler because they couldn't get into the offices in the center. And then it was, oh geez, man, if I tell you that poor brother, you see me, I am a rank character. I really am.
No.
And when I'm watching,
I would have never thought.
When I was watching this thing, this guy who is there is a good brother, but he's there saying, the ancestors, they demand libation. We are spiritual people, whatever. And then they brought on the most boring ass speakers I've ever met in my life. I was like sitting there. And then I get really, really, so I used to, highly impatient when I'm looking at things. Like, when's this thing going to warm up? When are you going to tell us something, man? What would you? And then this is me keeping quiet. And then in the afternoon, it got worse. So much so, Lance just said, get out, go for a walk. When I went out for a walk, there were children from the parents of the conference organizers' children who denied being from the conference. And when I heard that, that made me even worse. I got a parking ticket because they didn't tell me I could park on the roof of the place. And then I was like vexed. And by the time I stood up to speak, I was like oozing the place up, man. I was like, blah, blah, people's like, ah! That's why she gave us the money. Sorry, that was a time when Rosemary was there. But then the next day, I'd had an experience of this is it. This brother said, the same guy doing the libation stuff, said to me, we're at the table righting the wrongs of the world at lunchtime. You guys were all sat there, ready to tell everything that needs to be done. And this guy said, the white man, him can never be successful. And I said, well, why? Because he not understand the mysteries of the seventh seal. Now, the mysteries of the seventh seal is what David Koresh used to get all them people to follow him, and then he had the thing. Yeah. So I had a friend. There's a friend called John McBean from Preston Church who was trying to persuade me to go to that. To go and meet with thing. And yesterday we were just having a conversation about it. Last night with Anthony Brown, people from Preston there. And when I heard that seventh seal thing, I just went, And I remember I just said to the guy straight away, I said, do you understand the mysteries of the seventh seal? He said, I have a good understanding of it. And so I said, well, why didn't you use that mystery to get out in bed yesterday morning and come set the venue up on time? And then it was kickback chair time, kickback, well, man's disrespecting. And I said, brother, feel free. I'm built for that job. Feel free. Do what you have to do. And everybody kind of kick, yo, let's calm it down. And so from that, we said that we will put on a conference in Manchester. We'll put a conference on so that constructive criticism, you can tell us what's wrong. And then you won't, we come and support you and blah, 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 blah. And that's how I ended up doing the education of Black Child. 93, we did Rites of Passage, 94 Media, 95 History, 96 Melanin, and 97 Spirituality. And that took years of my life, I think, the kind of stress and whatever, but it's a learning process.
As well, you learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
So when you left after when did you leave Manchester? Because I'm going to have to fast track you because of time.
September 1999.
So why did you leave and what did you go to do? Briefly.
My then fiance got a job at the Ministry of Agriculture. And by this time, I'd had a couple of run-ins, and then there's all kind of gossip, and there was all kind of this, that about me, and blah 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 blah. So I'm afraid I kind of said, I'll go to work anywhere, and also to give space as well, because you're the people criticizing, so therefore remove ourselves, give space for people to come through. So not in a bitchy way, just to say things can run, is that you let people come in, do what they have to do. So,
and I think that is good for a leader to do that, because some leaders will stay in a position and in a place and not budge. But I think a very good leader, when he's ready to walk away, to let other people through. I think that's really authentic.
Well, what happened was I went down. I became. I started doing my consultancy, which I've been doing since 98. 98, from 1998. But then what I did was, carried on doing the thing. I ended up working on the prison estate again. I was involved fingers in all kinds of pies. I was at the Home Office for a meeting, and it was really funny because they were saying, they're talking mentoring organizations, and then they're saying, oh, this thing. And I say, yeah, I've worked with them. And then going like, yeah, I've worked with them. Yeah, I worked with them 4 years ago. Yeah, I've worked with them. And they stopped in the meeting and said, is there anybody you haven't worked with? And I said, well, if you name them, I'll tell you if I've worked with them or not. But you see, the thing is, remember I said about ugly and unusual? Never on anybody's photographs, pictures, recording, saying I've done this, done that, whatever, profile or whatever. I've always worked as a duppy. And that came from the fact when I asked my mom about that was it. I asked my mom when I was 21 years old. I asked her about, I met Nigerians at college, but I didn't know whether they were, they asked me, I said, oh, my dad was Nigerian. And as a friend of mine, this is further education college in Blackburn, TJ said to me, well, he said, well, he's Nigerian. Well, he said, there's no Nigerian. What tribe is he? I don't know. He said, well, what's his name? I don't know. So I went home and asked my mom. It was a lunchtime. I remember my dad wasn't there. And then she told me this. She told me the name, but then told me I was meant to be aborted, and basically to shut me up and whatever. That time is about maybe up to a year after I became very dangerous, because I was like too fight man and woman, and just sort of like, I lived. And then I read what happened was I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he said that due to his background, he lived his life as though he was already dead. So I just tuned into that. So I became, all the time I was in Manchester, all the time I was in London doing the work, I was a duppy. I didn't care. I'd be the one organizing the youth, so organizing the photograph or whatever, following around anybody with a video camera. So I just won't be there. And
so how did you get the name Obinna?
My father sent that name back. So I was christened Paul Taylor. They added William Paul Taylor. My father had sent back the name. He'd been told I was born, and he sent back the name Benedict Obinna Eme. And so around about 1989, I think it was, I changed it to William Benedict Paul Obinna. Then it was Wilson Eme, because I have no Taylor blood. My dad, that was my dad's name, who adopted me. So,
okay.
So Wilson Eme is my surname. I was known as Paul Obinna to pay respect to both my heritages.
Okay.
So I get people telling me, oh, he's denying his white side. He's done. I just say, here we go.
Okay.
So it's like I was being as inclusive as possible and being real to who and what I am. And so when I was working in London.
So from Manchester, you moved to London?
Went to London. I was 13 years in London. And so I was working in, consultancy in school and doing things in prison. I also wanted
and was you with your daughter and your partner at the time?
No, we split up.
Okay.
Finally 1996. And then I was with Nene, she's Igbo. And then that's who I went down to London with. And then she eventually moved to the Foreign Office, and then in 2013 she got a posting abroad in Brazil. So I sold up all my businesses and closed them down and did whatever. I went over there to support her and the boy, and I think I did a good job. She obviously she didn't like obviously things, so she asked me to come back. She wanted to split up. She asked me to come back. I wanted to reconcile, and then I came back 4 years ago. 4 years ago, just over 4 years ago. I came back to the UK. Went to my sister. Then my sister said, "Go to my mother's house in Blackburn." Stayed there for a year and a half and faced the demons, man. There was it's really funny. Oh yeah, my mom died in the same year, 2017. She died, and it was about 6 weeks after my ex-wife called time on the relationship. So when I came back, I was just facing demons. Everything from my past that was laid down, that was kept a lid on, all came out. And so it was me. I was talking with what's he called? No, there's two guys, Mr. Ray and Mr. Nephew. Do you know Mr. Ray and Nephew?
I know them very well.
Yeah. So I was talking to Mr. Ray and Nephew a lot, and other.
I know them very well.
Yeah, some of their colleagues, and
yeah.
always at night time.
Yes.
And just let the stuff come.
Yeah. And, so where are you living now? At this time, when you're in connections with Mr. Ray and Mr. Nephew, where are you living?
Blackburn. That's at my mother's place.
You're at your mother's place now. Okay. Yeah,
so did you
not in a relationship with anyone?
No. I was on my own 3.5 years, and 2.5 years ago, I did I did some work in Tony Browder. Tony Browder was over in Amsterdam, and he's working for a sister over there, the House of Kepra, a sister called Idontha, and he said, would I help her with her work? So I said, yeah. I started talking to her, talking to a few people over there, and then I went over 2.5 years ago, maybe a bit more. 2.5 years ago, I did a session on the timeline. I'd redrafted the timeline. I made a mistake of ringing up Professor Small, James Small, feeling sorry for myself after being back about 6 months, and I don't think I've been called a mother. And where's the? And he gave me a rather aggressive motivational speech, and I remember I was crying. And I was going like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Brother James." Yeah, okay. That's so 5 a.m. the next morning. I started on the timeline, I'm getting ready soon to start pushing out properly. But so I did that timeline, and then so I did my first timeline classes over in Amsterdam, and there was a sister that came to the classes, and all I remember saying to myself. She got big, sad eyes, brown eyes, and I think she was going through a separation at the time and whatever. And so I think we were taught always a professional thing. I put a screen across myself, and then I think it would have been last December. I did these sessions in late December. I did these sessions. I called them like a coffee shop tour on winter festivals. I did these sessions there in Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and she came through to one of those in Rotterdam, and then in Amsterdam too. And then she did. She was a reporter. She did an interview with me, and I always remember I met her on the way to the airport for a coffee, and I kind of like. I like her, and then she said, "Are you? She goes like, do you think you'll ever have another relationship?" I said, "Hell no." I said, "I'm over 3 years out now. I'm not interested, and whatever." But then one of them things, we started talking, and that was it. We started talking, and now we're the lockdown's been really good because we
said that for new couples.
Yeah, because what happened was you know, sometimes you unpack your laundry after you're together, but we've been able to go into all kinds. The sister's deep, she, you know, on the healing stuff, the esoteric stuff, and whatever. So.
And where's she from?
She's a white Dutch woman. She's
really
blonde hair. She wears she has pigtails and wears.
She's got a Dutch accent.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She got the Dutch accent. No. She's from Suriname. She's from Suriname. She's Saramaccan. You know the Maroons.
Okay.
So her family's from that tradition.
So, give me a track of your time now.
Okay, let me give you two. One's in Brazil. The one in Brazil throughout that time is there's a track called This Beat. It's by it's Mushroom Jazz. This Beat by Jazzual Suspects. And Time Now, the what I've just spoken to you about, it's a track by, oh my gosh, give me a second. I've got so much music on this thing, man, that when I look at it.
While you're looking for it, because we're coming to the end now.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me what you're doing now in your life. You've got this new relationship. Where are you living?
Preston.
You're living in Preston. Is that in your mum's house?
No, Preston. I rent an apartment. It's a big ass apartment in a converted mill. Oh,
that sounds beautiful. Just up my street. Yeah, and so you've got this consultancy business as well, haven't you?
Starting that back up as well.
You've got your new love in your life.
Yeah, I mean, what I was really pleased about this week, because what we're talking about, elders, you know, the elders being in the way of the younger people and whatever. And so I met Otis Thomas from TAP.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I met Otis a couple of years back and whatever. I liked his vibe and, you know, what he's doing. In fact, he asked me to do a session in Hume. And so Black History Month 2 years ago. So that was like one of my first things back here. I've been very, very quiet. Still people don't know I'm back, you know.
Yeah. And I think you've needed that though, haven't you?
Yeah. I came and did some sessions in Phil Martin Center and in Coffee Nubia, and you know, sort of getting myself back into the groove. But then Otis called me last week, I think it was last Friday, and he said, could I come and cover some sessions in Manchester for him in a school? You know, and well, I'm not being disrespectful by this, but it's like what I'm being paid, it would usually be my petrol money or something. But what it is, I immediately, I didn't have any doubt about it because I was helping the young people out. That's how I saw it, and not being a hindrance to it. You know, try to help their ventures, you know, business ventures, whatever. And that's all I could say is, you know, be as genuine as possible. Maybe if I was really genuine, I wouldn't have noticed. You know, that's one of the things. But
you're getting back into sharing and teaching again and educating again.
Well, yeah,
Manchester.
but I'm wanting. Well, no, it's like Nash. I'm doing fingers in pies all over the damn place.
Okay.
But I don't. How can I put it? I've got my first book ready. There's a brother been trying to get me to go on camera for 2 years, and you know he'd be cursing me at the present time, you know, saying where's all this? So in this, I've got a camera set up, I've got my sound, my microphone, I've got everything set up, but ugly and unusual keeps popping up, and then the other thing that keeps popping up.
I'd love you to do some work on that.
Oh no, I've done the work. Done the work, but
why do you keep saying it, Paul?
No, it's ingrained.
Yeah, well, you need to ungrain it.
Yeah. But I'm conscious of it now.
Yeah. But it's a lie. It's not true.
No, I know, but it's it allows me it keeps my feet on the ground. It keeps me from, look, I had a thing. My ex-wife said to me, talk to the boy about his attitude to women from young. And so me and him he's very nonchalant. He's a good-looking boy. He just kind of like, he's like, so we've been talking on things from time. Last summer, not summer just gone, the one before, a good dear friend of mine passed away in Preston here. And ironically, we were going to go and buy table tennis bats. And the third musketeer, who we used to play table tennis together, called me up saying that this guy was in hospital. And we used to play table tennis. And I was going like, this is a bit kind of like synchronistic, you know. So 2 days later, he died. And so I was like, wow. So we went to the funeral. And took a Caribbean funeral. I remember one time, you know, I just got this thing. I got a bad hip at the minute, but I just got into, you know, doing the grave digging. And my friend Louis, he would have been laughing because it was raining and the frigging sods, you know, the clay was heavy and all this. But I just kept going. And other people were doing it a bit for a while. Then 1 minute, I looked and there were 3 service brothers, they call the services, and myself. And Louis was I lived on Preston New Road, then they lived on Lancaster Place. So we're all that. And then I remember in the middle of the thing, everybody's there under the brollies and all this and doing the thing. And I stopped, I went, Lancaster Place posse. And they all went, yeah. We all like this. Burst out laughing, carry on with the thing. But the rub is this. I went back, I was in my suits and everything. I didn't have boots and I got clay all over. I was so I went back to the church. I was sat on the stairs. I went to get cleaned up. I sat on the stairs and I told my son, I said, save me a seat, you know. So he sat in there with one of the brothers, with the guy I told you about, the other table tennis player. And I said, save me a seat. And then I'm sat on the stairs and he says, Dad, this lady with grey hair came out and said, I said, I told her it was your seat. And she said that you owe her. I went, oh God, ex-fiance. Yeah. So I'm out to talk to him. I just go like, oh yeah, he said, I'll tell you later. Then I walked in the room, with a word of a lie. It was like, oh God. I thought, 4 women in there done a thing with the mother and father of another, the brother of another, and the sister of another. And I looked and I kind of said, you know, I said to myself, ugly and unusual, ain't that funny? And what I learned many years ago from a guy called Yashwant Patel, all I ever wanted was to be wanted. And it was an actress at college, actually.
I love your honesty.
This actress at college was the first one to flag it to me because I was so bad at one point. I took a vow of celibacy to my friend. I said, this is on a Sunday evening. I said, if I have sex with another woman, I'm going to buy you a pack of cigarettes. I'll keep you in cigarettes for a month. And he said, yeah, okay. And it's about 1 o'clock the following afternoon. I passed him a cigarette pack. And he turned around. He just said, you are a slut. And I said, and what happened was this woman, she chirps in, energy and whatever. And I just remember, went back to my room, took her back to my room, started doing a thing. And then she just looked at me. She said, Paul, where have you gone? I said, I'm here. She says, no. So I put move on her, and she said, no, I don't mean that. Where have you gone? You're not here with me now. And it was the first time I had to turn around and say it was the truth. All I wanted was to be wanted. So as soon as someone wanted me, gave in, I'd gone psychologically. And that was when I had to start unpicking all this stuff out. And
you ever had therapy? Have you done a lot of spiritual work? Have you used your martial arts?
Loads of spiritual work. Yashwant Patel, Judith Brown, there's a sister called Emma Michaels, doing this kind of thing, whatever. You see, the thing is, clearing it out, it has to be genuine. My favorite word is genuine. Because I say if you say genius, it's the genes in us. Genuine is you inside, the genes of you inside. So being genuine, I had to turn around and say, I've got to be honest to myself. I can't lie to myself anymore. If what was it? They always say, tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yeah.
So the worst elements in me, I've got to be really honest about. I'm growing into I was always, you see, there's always a watcher for us. We watch our lives. And I'd say that I've watched myself get into some tantrums and whatever. And the actual fact, when I was leaving Brazil, it was like the older sage self, my higher self, was watching the behavior and the upset of this damaged young guy who still hadn't come to terms with all the stuff. Now I've become the sage.
How old are you now?
I'm 61.
Okay, you look well.
Thank you. The damage is all on the inside.
The ugly and unusual.
No. But you see, this is it. What I like. My favorite teacher at school called Mr. Nutter, and he said to me about 8 years ago, I saw him at a reunion, and he said to me, Paul, always make sure you work with children, the young children. Make sure you work with them. And, the energy will circulate with you, whatever. So I'm a bigger mischief maker than any of the children I teach.
No, we know.
And
so as we're coming to the end, what's your last track? Did you find it?
I did. It's a Jazz Liberators, and it's a track called Dark Keys.
Right, okay.
M Salem. And I love that. But another track, I'll give you two tracks. Show Me the Way to Your Heart by Earth, Wind and Fire. Show Me the Way. Love that track. And Electric Relaxation by a tribe called Quest, which is quite rude.
Right. Well, I'm sure my editor won't be putting that one on then.
Right. You have to check that. All the others are
clean.
Yeah. Sorry. For my dedication to women, because one of the things I had to learn about, like for instance, it's my son's birthday tomorrow. So I've just sent flowers to his mum. So even though we're estranged and we're getting divorced, or the divorce will be finalized soon, I have to respect her as the mother of my son.
Well done. I've heard you say this before. Well done.
I still send. I'll be able now, because of being free of that marriage, I'll be able to send flowers in respect to Jennifer as well, Jennifer Robinson, for Ikemba. So that's a dynamic which I keep saying that every birthday is Mother's Day, and so on my mother's birthday, what I did this year was I went to what's it called, Marks and Spencer's, got flowers, got champagne, and got chocolates. And then there's a lady of age who was working on the till, and she turned around. She said, "Oh, someone's going to have a nice gift." I said, "Yeah," and I just said, "Yeah, it's you. Here's this for you." And she went, "What?" And I just said to her, I said, "No, it's my mother's birthday. She's late now, and I'd like you to have this as a thing I do every year." So she was made up. So there's a thing there. So the track for that is Stevie Wonder. And it's That Girl.
Right. Okay. Okay. Another track for you. Yeah.
That Girl.
So before we end, is there an inspirational message you'd like to give to the listeners? It's Black History Month.
Yeah, just be
middle of COVID.
Be true to yourself, because there are, something. The only person you can fully trust is yourself. And doing that can be a major task. Black History Month, Malcolm X said that he used to do with percentage trust. But you can only trust yourself. You got to know yourself and trust yourself. I mean, it sounds mundane and whatever, but
no, because I actually think it's a really valid point, because I don't think a lot of people are not actually honest with themselves. And they're hiding themselves, and I believe it's an actual, a real authentic task to be able to be that way. If you're not that way,
well, something, I don't know what's been happening to be. All right, let me tell you this. There's Tony Browder. I was talking to Tony Browder, must be about a year ago, over a year ago. And, because he's like my big brother, sensible big brother, I should say. And we talk about all kinds of stuff and fire, about have a laugh and whatever. And do you know Tony Browder? Do you know of him?
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I'm better with faces though.
All right, so he's a scholar in Washington D.C.
Right.
And he said to me, we're having this rap, and then he just said to me, that's a book or an audio book called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zakov. And he said, you should listen to that. And what he said, he said it talks about 5 sensory beings. It's talking about the way that we've been conditioned and educated into just using our brains in a certain way. And so Gary Zakov calls it 5 sensory beings instead of being multi-sensory beings, meaning your feminine intuition. Basically, what it means is we've been told to depreciate anything that's female and feminine.
Yeah.
And those aspects and attributes of our character, our psychology, our spirituality, and whatever, which are generally denoted as being female or feminine, we've been taught not to use them. And then when you have your moments, we decry it, oh, you're stupid, or it's unusual. That doesn't exist. Prove that you can read this. Prove that you know. And you're going like, wow. It's like, so he said to me the other day, one of our colleagues, a close friend of his, Dr. Patricia Newton, she used to come to the conferences and she passed away. And it's been really funny because it hasn't hit me yet because I didn't see much of her, but I was always intermittently in contact with her. Mm. And she's just a really wonderful woman, just really down to earth, and used to tell you about yourself. Used to tell me about myself. And so...
But you can take that, Paul.
Oh, that and more. You see, I'm my own biggest critic.
Yeah.
But that's getting less now. I'm kind of growing into myself more, knowing into myself. And so what happened was, I said to Tony, what do you think the game plan is now? Because of this book I'm doing, which I call it the Book of Nous. Now, Nous, when I was growing up, you used to get these old guys say to you, if you did something, you have some bloody Nous, lad. And Nous is practical wisdom. And the more I've talked to people, the more I've studied, I realize that's where they've hit us. They've hit us so that we don't have our foundations in place. And I go back again to the wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand. If your foundations ain't right, you're going to be off. I heard that my natural father's favorite hymn is Roman Catholic, and he said, it was on Christ the solid rock I stand, all else is mere shifting sand. So I've been on shifting sands. But when I've gained purchase, like for instance, when my dad died, my mom, she was kind of barefoot and pregnant at home, and sort of she was there, and it was like, this is a thing I was going to tell you about later, because reading her, by the age of 13, I knew her. When she told me about, I'm a mother, so I didn't have my father, so I read her deeply. So when my dad died, she'd be there like, well, I should be waiting for people to give her a lift and all of this business. And my dad had just got a new car, and then I said to my brothers, I said to her, she said, oh, well, I'm gonna have to sell the car and divide it with you equally. And I said, what for? I said, look, I don't need a car, I can't afford it. I said, Philip and Kathy, my brother and sister, the elder ones, they got it. My brother John, his car was on its last legs. I said, give the car to him. So no one else. So we had a conversation. Yeah, that was done. Then I said to my mom, you have to learn to drive. Oh, I'm not driving material. Albert always said I'd be distracted by if I went to drive. So I said, you need to learn to drive. You have to get about. You got to start getting about. Oh, no, I can't do this. I can't do it. But you see, I understand her. So I became the most horrible little bastard you could imagine. I was 25 years old. I just turned around to her and said, you are going to have to learn to drive, right? And she said, no, I can't do it. So I said, right, okay. So what I started doing, I started cussing in the house. I started doing this and that and blah, blah, blah. I said, the only thing going to stop me from doing this is either you kicking me out or you get a driver's license. And then eventually she got a driver's license. I'll prove to you I can't drive. And then she came back. She said, I can't handle the gears. I just went, get automatic. 6 weeks later, brand new Renault 5, little Renault on the path. And I thought, oh, it might encourage me. Automatic. Yeah. That woman, she opened up a new life. Does this make sense? Opened a total new life. Now check this. The age that my dad died, she was 58 years old. When I moved into her house, I was 58 years old. And her house and the money that she left me allowed me to move up and open another section of my life. Same way I did for her. So I may have had a lot of bad things to say about my mom, and certain things in her character weren't cool. But I have nothing. But I'm sitting here now. It's my choice into what I do with my life now. Whether I want to not do things or do this, do that. But she, she provided, for me and whatever. She loved me up. I know.
Well, I know that she's proud of you and she's with you all the time.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
Now, as we've come to the end and I've interviewed many people, you're my one person that has used more bad language than I don't know what. So I don't know.
Do you know something? I was keeping it clean deliberately.
Yeah. We're clean enough. But anyway, I still love you all the same.
Well,
I just have to let the radio station know before they put it out on air.
I tell you, let me put it this way. If I use a word, I know what the word means.
Right.
And and the importance of words for me. I've got a 2-volume set of a dictionary here, big on the Oxford Universal Dictionary with etymology.
Yeah.
And so I go to John 1:1. In the beginning was the word, words with God, and word was God, etc. And so I'm very mindful of when I use certain words. So I was like editing it. I was going like,
see that a little bit, yeah.
So I bite down on it, whatever. But sometimes
rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, but I use it for effect.
Yeah.
And I've listened to people like Anthony Robbins and my life coach who is Yashwant Patel. And sometimes that word can jolt you.
Yeah.
And it goes like boom. And the funny thing is, I always laugh. I said that, I'm sure that Jesus Christ hanging out with fishermen would have been all around guys who use good language all the time. I'd love to be at the dockside at one of their journeys. So yeah, I am mischievous. So
I know. It's been really good for me to hear your life story because I haven't spent a lot of time with you over the years, but I know that my oldest son is 25 now, and right. Remember Dudley? He went away when Jazz was 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how many years I've known you, and I remember later on when my son, you did some talk somewhere and told him about why black people shouldn't wear Nike, and even though he still does wear Nike, I know he remembers you by that session.
I never said they shouldn't wear it or Adidas. I said we should get shares in the company. Yes,
so I knew there was something around that. Yeah,
that's it. That's the
line. And when I was driving to Liverpool the other day and I described to him who you was, he remembered you.
Okay.
And I thought that was really good because he's actually got quite a bad memory. So, but it's been really nurturing and it's been a blessing for me to hear your story, and it's given me the opportunity to understand you more, Paul.
Right.
And to, I kind of get you like this now.
Okay.
If you understand what I mean.
Yeah. I never. You see, my thing it's. I try to speak. No, I don't try. I speak straight. I don't.
Yeah, you do.
time beat about the bush, especially if it's about myself, because you know it don't make any sense.
No.
So when you know I put down my experiences, that's the nous in actual fact. That's
yeah, definitely.
So when I started writing this, the basic things I you know, like I do, like little wordscapes and things to engage young people or anybody basically. And you know, the beginning was a word was God. So I'll start saying, you know, words like diction. You got the dictionary, the words you use in your diction. And I said, look at the means of words in the dictionary. Then before you speak, it's called prediction. Prediction. Then if you say you're going to do something and go against, it's called contradiction. So I use things like that. And I got a whole rake of that. And then I was writing them down saying, oh, hell, right, okay. Right, so another one. And so I wrote this list down. Then I have these engagement techniques that I developed as a teacher over the years. And I started writing those down. Then I realized I got 2 books of nous. And these are at the base level that I keep saying to people, our foundations aren't right. So we have to start looking at things differently, like we know where in the world we are. So we know when in the world we've been. And all these things which are just grounding the solid rock. Yeah. And that's the Christhood getting ready to ascend.
Yeah.
But watch out. One of the key things as an exercise I always give people, because you know, as a physical education, martial arts instructor, all of this business. So if you ever stand and you're going to jump high, you first have to load low. You load your muscles up, then you drive up.
Okay.
So you got to have the foundation.
Yeah.
And what I've realized over the years, that's where we've been affected. We don't have a strong foundation. We only have a foundation that's been given to us from other people. So I was having this thing last night. Anthony Brown, I said he's a rascal. I was calling him a rascal because what he used last night was something I used to say to people was that we were given certain religions that weren't from not the geographical area we were from. It's not our lineage. It's from other people's languages and whatever. We've got that and sucked that down rather than knowing ourselves and going to ourselves.
Exactly.
So he was on that last night, and I just said to him, I said, "You're a rascal." I said to him today. And so yeah, so this I just think that we do what we're comfortable with. We do what we're you know, what's good for us, you know, and if we're living, I'm more interested in whether a person's a good person. That I'm not about the race, the class, the sexual.
Yeah, I'm the same. I go by your heart and mind. If your heart and mind makes me tick, well, I'll tick as well. I'm in my glory. Okay, I'm going to close us off now.
I was just looking for something I could swear about one last time, but I can't think.
I don't think I'm giving you the opportunity to. You're too terrible.
Oh no, I'll try.
It's a real pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to getting it out there.
All right then.
Okay, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Yeah.
All right then.
All right, you take care. Bye.
Bye.